Hey students, this is a screencast that you should watch if you were absent on Tuesday when we learned the third big question. This is a reminder of how we're thinking about fiction and nonfiction. Notice, nonfiction intrudes into our world and purports to tell us something about it. We've seen that before. Let's learn the third big question. It's right here. The third big question is what challenged, changed, or confirmed what I already knew. Remember, the first big question was, what surprises me? That big question, what surprises me? It's sort of like this, what challenged what I already knew. There might be some times when you could mark it with an exclamation point or a C if you find something that challenged you. The second big question was, what did the author assume I already knew? That's especially helpful if you find something in the text confusing. Then you're going to mark it with an A for something the author assumed you already knew. But as I mentioned, the third big question is here. What challenged, changed, or confirmed what I already knew? So let's look at an example that I did. It says right here, any athlete will tell you this. If you're competent at something and you start thinking about it, especially at a detailed level, you're just dead in the water. So if I was reading this in an article, I might have marked it with a C. And that means I found something that challenged, changed, or confirmed what I already knew. In this case, I marked it with a C because it confirms something I already knew. So take a look at my note. Here's what I wrote after I marked it with a C. I wrote, this confirms something I know about, well, life in general. When you overanalyze how to do something that you do all the time without thinking, it can make that task impossible. So in class I give this example of walking up to the ATM machine and trying to think of my PIN number and not being able to think of it, but being able to punch in my PIN number if I just walk up to an ATM machine and follow my muscle memory, right? In class we talked about baseball players, if they try to overanalyze their batting, pitchers overanalyzing their pitching, there's a lot of sports examples, but it goes for anything, I think, right? If you try to overanalyze it, then you sort of forget how to do it. So here's another example of something I marked with a C, but this time for a different reason. So this says, children in the refugee camp go to school 6 days a week. Boys and girls attend separate classes. Garana is in the first grade, although she is 10 years old. That's because when she lived in Afghanistan, Garana was not allowed to go to school. So I marked it with a C, and then here's the note that I made. This doesn't really challenge something I knew so much as it changes it. When I imagined life in a refugee camp, school never really entered into my thoughts. I pictured people only concerned with the bare necessities. So I basically wrote, this changes what I thought I knew about refugee camps. I never thought about people going to school. The reason that is because I only pictured people concerned with survival, right? So that's how I made a note from this text using the third big question. So you have a task, and this is what you missed on Tuesday. We got this assignment. It's a note sheet for an article called Hard at Work. And notice it has the three big questions. The three big questions. What surprised me? What did the author assume I already knew? What challenged, changed, or confirmed what I already knew? What you should do, because what you missed on Tuesday, is read this article, Hard at Work. It's front and back, but it's not very long. And it's a good read. You should read it, and as you go through, try to mark some things that either surprised you, things that you see the author is assuming people know, or things that challenged, changed, or confirmed. Right? So we're just going to kind of mark up the article as you go. And then, after you've read the whole article, and you've marked it up with your symbols that show that there's something to the third big question, or one of the three big questions, then you should take your assignment, and we're looking for just 3 examples. Now, the reason we're doing an assignment that looks like this is because this is what the note-taking process will look like when we start taking notes for our actual research. So I might say, oh, there's something that surprises me. Maybe I'll say it's on paragraph 3. So I'm going to use my symbol to show I'm answering this first big question, what surprised me, and then I'm going to put my note over here. Notice, this is where the note goes. If you want to divide it up, you can. Do not just copy what the article says. If you find something that surprises you, don't write what surprises you here. Write why you find it surprising. Don't copy from the article. This is a place for your thoughts. Okay? And so if you can get one of each, that's good. Let's say you can't find something that the author is assuming people know. Like you were not confused by anything in the article. Instead, then maybe do 2 answers to the first big question or 2 answers to the third big question. All right. So this assignment is an assignment that's turned in. It's what we did on Tuesday. So you should start and you should read the article, mark it up with the symbols, and then just take 3 notes on this practice note-taking sheet. Go ahead and drop it in the turn-in box when you're done. Don't forget to put your name on it. Good luck.